She was known as the pinnacle of power among the gods. Yet, from the moment she met me, the gears of fate began to turn quietly. Under my overwhelming power, no matter how outrageous my demands, she had to fulfill them. The first task I assigned her was to lure all the gods above the initial stage to us. Although the time-space god could abandon this avatar to escape my clutches, most of her divine power was invested in this body. Losing this avatar to escape would mean being hunted and killed by other celestial gods in the days to come. After that, a powerful deity named Emperor who commands mountains and rivers arrived here. He looked down at Qian Wangchen with a gloomy face. "You say you want to give me this ancient continent? Is that really true?" Qian Wangchen replied with equal constipation. Really, because the celestial god in front of her was known as the gatekeeper of the gods. As a wandering star deity with no background, to rise up, she had to deal well with him and his divine clan. And in this timeline, it was his help that allowed her to successfully ascend to a mid-tier celestial god. Emperor who commands mountains and rivers was ecstatic upon hearing this. "Ha ha ha, you know your place. Our grudges will be settled with this." But the moment he finished his sentence, an aura of destruction instantly engulfed him. Such an invincible feat was naturally my masterpiece. Regarding my action, Qian Wangchen felt indescribable bitterness, because after I killed him, in this era, she would never be able to reconcile with him. On the other side, as the avatar of Emperor who commands mountains and rivers was slain, the despair and rage of his final moments were transmitted to his main body. He was now on the verge of collapse, and made a heavenly way oath to fight Qian Wangchen to the death. Meanwhile, I also received the reward for slaying Emperor who commands mountains and rivers. I didn't expect that killing him would yield 1.3% of the reward for exchanging heavenly god incarnation. The generous reward also took me by surprise. 1 is worth 10. This is much more satisfying than those scattered gods. The system then reminded me that the resolution of heavenly god incarnation had reached 12.1%. Seeing this, I cursed the system for being an inflexible fool. Apart from avatars, can't you leave me some domain value for other uses? After warning the system, I excitedly shouted for Qian Wangchen to continue. My words made Qian Wangchen's face stiffen immensely, always feeling that if this continued, she would surely die. After slaying countless gods, 2 sisters with attitudes completely opposite to those gods appeared. They cheerfully asked Qian Wangchen how she had been doing lately. Looking at the sisters, Qian Wangchen felt somewhat reluctant, hoping I would show mercy. These were among the few she could call friends. However, I completely ignored his request and snapped my fingers. In the next moment, the smiling sisters turned into my nourishment in their confusion. Meanwhile, in a certain temple, the sisters cried and hugged each other. Qian Wangchen's sister actually deceived us. Our friendship is over. Realizing that everything was irretrievable, Qian Wangchen also became numb. But I, regardless, shouted loudly, "Hurry up, my sword is already starving." Finally, after killing all the celestial gods she knew, I mocked her somewhat dissatisfied. "You really have poor connections. Such few gods. Who are they enough for?" Qian Wangchen cursed. "You're a beast. Do you think they are cabbages? Have some humanity, for goodness sake. They are celestial gods." Hearing our conversation, Feng Qingyang wore a smug expression. Never thought that the mighty celestial gods would one day be slaughtered like pigs. Truly a sight to behold. To think that Chinchaman could be so effective. Unable to help himself, Feng Qingyang began to laugh loudly. "Such a powerful man, and he will be my future disciple. Then doesn't that make me?" Inside the temple, dozens of elders controlled their staves, pouring out their spiritual energy. In just a few seconds, a pale blue array appeared before them. Temple spirit then found Longhua and reminded him, Chinchanan must have descended in his true form. "What does it matter if it's his true form? We must avenge Long Lu," he coldly told the elders controlling the array. "Begin." As his command echoed, a dazzling light suddenly illuminated the depths of the universe. Then, a massive blue array appeared in front of the ancient continent. Feeling the terrifying aura from beyond their realm, Qian Wangchen couldn't help but form a slight smile. "This is Chan," she reminded me. "That's the Dragon God technique, the 10-direction God annihilation formation." Their surprised expressions piqued my curiosity. She continued explaining, "Although I have never encountered higher celestial gods, I have heard of the reputation of this formation." Qian Wangchen added by my side, "This is one of the 3 great divine techniques of the Dragon God clan. They conquered countless star domains with just this formation, forcing many celestial gods to flee in panic. It's the nightmare of all initial stage celestial gods." I asked her, smiling, "Why?" She told me, "Under this formation, everything in the world will lose its function. The divine power of celestial gods in this realm will be rendered useless. Not to mention fighting. Even escaping is a luxury." Feng Qingyang and others showed bitter faces upon hearing this. "We barely escaped from the clutches of other celestial gods, and now we face an even greater threat." At this moment, Qian Wangchen looked at me slyly. Though I'd love to see him in distress and fear, I need to find the right moment to slip away. As for this fool, let him stay here and meet his end. But soon, she realized that her divine power had disappeared. The formation isn't fully formed yet. Could it be some mysterious power has intervened and sealed me? Seeing her reaction, I scolded her, "Really, a leopard never changes its spots. Don't think I don't know that you secretly sent a location to the Dragon God clan. You're just pretending to comply with me while trying to buy time, deliberately exposing the information here. You wanted to use the Dragon God's big move to wipe me out and then take the chance to escape, didn't you? She suppressed her anger and urged me to let her go quickly. Isn't this what you wanted, a higher dimensional being? I brought them here, and now you are afraid. I thought so. After all, no wandering star deity would dare to confront them directly. Her words made me burst into laughter. Afraid of them? I wish to annihilate them all. Seeing my face twisted with excitement, the time-space god fell into endless fear. Then I raised my arm towards the sky. Then let me show you. I will make them too scared to ever spy on this land again. As my words fell, an unparalleled force spread out from where I was. The light then transformed into a barrier, enveloping the entire ancient continent. Witnessing all this, Jiang Xinu also realized her ignorance and insignificance. Despite her perception as a mid-tier deity, she couldn't detect the slightest detail of it. Manhwa quietly watched the changes in the ancient continent and sneered. Destroying him in his strongest domain is befitting of my status. The next moment, a blue beam passed through the ancient continent. However, the creatures of the ancient continent were unharmed. The more this happened, the more excited I became. I then issued my first command to the system: consume it. As my words fell, the system went into a frenzy, absorbing all the energy from the beam. In a moment, the sky returned to its original state. To my surprise, after the system absorbed those divine powers, it could even convert them into domain value. It seems the other side really invested heavily in this formation. The cost wasn't small. Jiang Xinu looked at me in horror. How is this possible? The barrier he deployed actually absorbed the power of the deicide formation. The formation that suppresses everything failed against him. Manhwa, however, was not surprised. As an ant, he indeed has the pride of an ant, but that's all it is. Then he instructed the elders to increase the power to the maximum. Let the ants see what real suppression is. Upon his command, the elders increased their energy output. The next moment, a ferociously different energy burst forth. I was not afraid at all. Instead, I seriously commented, "Are they getting a bit desperate?" Then, full of enthusiasm, I snapped my fingers. Let's try this then. The barrier, which had been absorbing energy, suddenly stopped and reflected the blue beams back with double the force. Seeing this, Manhwa was dumbfounded. What the hell is this? Can a low-level god do this? This is the Invincible Dragon God technique, yet it couldn't even harm a hair on the ancient continent and even used the formation's power against us. I then called out, "System, let them learn how to counterattack in their domain without leaving it." I used all the energy just absorbed to transform and expand the barrier, expanding it 1,000, 100,000 times. In just a few seconds, the barrier had become immensely huge. Under the continuous energy attack of the formation, the edge of the barrier had already hit the formation. As the breaking sound rang out, a terrifying shockwave swept through all the surrounding star systems. Meanwhile, inside the Dragon God Temple, a voice full of surprise and fear echoed, "The 10-direction God Annihilation formation has been broken, and they didn't even get a scratch." Seeing the elders grievously injured by the backlash, Manhwa stood frozen. Never thought that such a high-level deity existed in this forsaken place. Feng Qingyang was also stunned in disbelief, muttering to the not-so-tall figure, "Invincible." Inside the temple, Temple Spirit was about to speak when Manhwa interrupted, "We're leaving immediately. Inform all clan members to withdraw everything related to the Dragon God clan from this dimension. Destroy the territories below the level of abundant lands to prevent any traces from being found. Anyone who disobeys, kill without mercy." Temple Spirit questioned Manhwa, "Didn't you just say you wanted to show them what real suppression is?" Manhwa shouted, "I didn't say that. You heard wrong." And he thought to himself, "I was talking about low-tier deities. Who the hell knew there was at least a high-tier deity hidden here? I'm just a mid-tier myself. If I really provoked such an existence, things would get troublesome. That damned Long Lu, how could he provoke such a high-level being? This battle has greatly weakened the Dragon God clan. The shockwave shattered our divine bones, and it might take tens of thousands of years to recover our vitality. After we leave, this star domain might change hands. Chinchanan, you've done well. It seems in the future battles for the dominion of the gods, we might meet again." Meanwhile, after completing all this, I walked towards them with a smile. It was time to return to my own timeline. Seeing the figures gathering around me, I felt a bit panicked. "What are you trying to do?" Then they lifted me high in the air. "Chinchanan, thank you for saving us. Without you, we wouldn't have known what to do. Let's cheer for our hero." Hearing this, I looked at Feng Qingyang calmly. "The 9th state in 10 million years has always been guarded by you, old man. And now, I'm just taking over your burden." With this thought, a slight smile appeared on my lips. "You've tried your best to protect my world, and I shall guard your future." Time-Space God silently watched our lively scene and thought about teaming up with me. With his support, my advancement to a mid-tier deity wouldn't be as difficult as before. Just then, she suddenly scolded everyone, "Put Chinchanan down immediately. You're being too disrespectful." Hearing this, everyone released their arms, and I cursed in pain. My shout made Feng Qingyang nervously say, "Sorry, we didn't mean to." At that moment, Time-Space God seized the opportunity to rush over. "Did you get hurt? These fools are so troublesome. Let me reprimand them properly." I was baffled. "What trick are you trying to play now?" Time-Space God, patting her chest earnestly, earnestly, responded to me. What are you talking about? Is that how you see me? Besides, I wouldn't dare act recklessly in front of you. Your strength and character are there for all to see. I was thinking. Before she could finish, I interrupted her. Do you also want to be lifted high? If that's the case, you'll have to wait in line. What's the rush? After hearing this, Time-Space God's mouth twitched in annoyance. Then, she grabbed my arm and started walking to one side, saying, I have something important to discuss with you. Noticing Jiang lonely expression, I reached out and grabbed Jiang's arm, bringing her along. Seeing Jiang being brought along, Time-Space God awkwardly asked, why are you bringing her? I replied disdainfully, it's not a love talk. What's there to hide? This made Time-Space God tremble with embarrassment and anger, thinking, I refuse to grovel before you in front of these lower realm mortals. Noticing the tension between us, Jiang felt extremely uncomfortable, but being smart, she quickly understood everything. Time-Space God must have made many enemies by deceiving numerous gods, not to mention the Dragon God clan watching like hawks. Now, for her self-preservation, she must seek favor with Jinchanan for further promotion. All this seems to have nothing to do with me. As the scene fell silent, Time-Space God struggled and said, I wanted to do business with you. You get it, right? Her presence here is unnecessary. Hearing this, I leaned in towards her with a sly look. Now Jiang is my proxy. Whether I cooperate or not, you have to listen to her. My words clearly hit a sore spot for Time-Space God. Just now, that woman was begging me, and now the tables have turned. But to gain my protection, Time-Space God reluctantly grabbed Jiang's shoulder and said through gritted teeth, do you understand? Seeing her like this, I translated right beside her. I plan to fight to the death with Jinchanan. If you know what's good for you, you'd better get out of my way. Do you understand? Time-Space God was startled. What kind of translation is that? I don't want to be your enemy. Then Time-Space God warmly pulled Jiang over, trying to ingratiate herself with Jiang. How about we collaborate? Jiang's eyes widened in surprise, just like me back then, only knowing to bow my head and solve problems, not realizing. As she thought this, she looked towards me for help, until she caught the subtle hint I gave her. Jiang's pretty face immediately blushed a few shades redder. Our little interaction didn't escape Time-Space God's notice. You're using me as a tool to teach this girl a lesson. I'll remember this. After reaching an agreement, I returned with them to the others. Jiang asked reluctantly, are you leaving now? Hearing this, I gently acknowledged, I've stayed here too long. My friends are getting impatient. It's time to say goodbye. Then I called out, Jiang, there's one more thing I almost forgot. Saying this, I snapped my fingers, and time in the entire space seemed to stop. As everyone looked around at the flowing river of time in disbelief, Feng Qingyang and the others were astounded. Is this the power of space-time? Seeing this familiar ability, Time-Space God glared at my back with gritted teeth. You just take the ability I've cultivated my whole life. What's the point of my existence as Time-Space God then? Next, I took off my cloak. I've inscribed the power of space-time into this. It's stronger than the artifact you were using before. I've removed the side effects, but be aware, these side effects are only nullified on the ancient continent. On other planets, they will still be present. Be careful using it. Jiang took the tattered cloak and solemnly acknowledged. Then, a soft embrace pressed into my chest. Jinchanan, thank you. See you in 10 million years. Caught off guard by her gesture, I paused for a moment, then looked into her eyes gently and nodded slightly. The next moment, my figure disappeared from the spot. Time-Space God asked me sarcastically, why can't I find someone who cares for me like that? This world is so unfair. Jiang has already agreed to cooperate. You can't go back on your word now. I told her, the past is the past. I haven't agreed to anything now. Why are you so happy? Qian Wanchen angrily scolded. You're burning the bridge after crossing the river. You won't pay after the deed is done? Because of you, I can't even survive in the realm of the gods now. You have to take responsibility. I told her, I'm under a lot of pressure too. Covering for you means making enemies with many celestial gods. They are so strong. How can I cope? Then I suddenly stopped and looked at her with a mischievous smile. Call me daddy, and maybe I'll agree to your request. Time-Space God, furious, turned around and left. The system asked in confusion, host, why not cooperate with Time-Space God? According to memory, she will be a very powerful deity in the future, and having her as an ally would be beneficial. I explained, but her calculations are too obvious. She'll definitely bring me a lot of trouble in the future. Solving a problem once is okay, but more than that can be annoying. It's easier to remember a grudge than a favor. There will be a time when I meet her again. Before I go back, system, there's something I want you to do in the ancient continent. What I wanted to do was to resurrect all those who had died. Jiang's master was also resurrected. She touched her head, remembering vaguely about someone named Jinchanan who revived them all. Jiang tearfully embraced her master. Thus, we all agreed to meet again in 10 million years, traversing great distances to express our gratitude. When time returned to 10 million years later, I wondered if anyone would remember my past deeds. Upon returning to the Nine State, I eagerly went to Jiang Xuanchu's side. For safety, I turned Jiang Xuanchu's personal item into a divine artifact, combining it with her unique immortal technique to complete the restoration of Jiang Xuanchu's soul. I hoped nothing would go wrong this time. Shortly after, Jiang Ningran respectfully returned the divine artifact to me. The resurrection technique has been successfully completed. Hearing this, I looked looked towards Jiang Xinu. Why are there no signs of awakening? Jiang Ningran informed me this is normal. Awakening after the technique takes 1 to 2 days. Fortunately, we haven't delayed too long, but I asked suspiciously. I've seen many cases where souls, after being restored, suffer memory loss. What do you think about this? Jiang Ningran anxiously assured me there won't be any issues. With the divine artifacts enhancement, Jiang Xuanchu's recovery has been very successful. Please rest assured, Senior, I won't let any mishap occur. Then I asked her, why do you keep staring at me? Jiang Ningran immediately lowered her head after hearing this. I just thought you resembled someone I knew a long time ago. I knew that my time traveling had altered the future, embedding my image in their experiences. Without further ado, I disappeared from the spot, instructing them to take good care of Jiang Xinu. Jiang Yuchang, looking at my departing figure, asked in confusion, are you sure you're not mistaken? He's from the 9th state, not from your era. Jiang Ningran affirmed, I'm not wrong. It's him. Back then, he single-handedly fought against all and made celestial gods tremble in fear, daring not to battle again. I was blinded by interests over these millions of years and forgot about this great deity in the 9th state. Counting the days, it seems the 10 million year promise is approaching. It's tomorrow. I wonder how they've all been faring. In the distant barbarian star continent, a group clad in black robes gathered around a campfire. The star domain competition is approaching. With constant strife among numerous star domains, it's indeed fortunate that we can form an alliance with the ancient continent, a land of abundant resources, to confront our enemies. A woman in a black robe removed her hood. We feel the same, but we have a condition for this cooperation. Peichi smiled, encouraging Pure Virtue to continue. The alliance involves sharing resources across the continent. Feel free to ask for our help in any way we can. Pure Virtue asked indifferently, I heard you've been raiding barbarian lands lately, expanding your cultivation resource base, and recently, the 9-state continent appeared on your target list. Is this true? Peichi's eyes flashed with fear, but he quickly shed his facade. I wondered why the ancient continent, a land of abundant resources, would suddenly cooperate with us. So this was the purpose. You want to take the 9th state from us? Hearing this, Pure Virtue's expression turned even colder. So, what's your answer? We've had our eyes on the 9th state for years. If we can take this land, we can ascend to the status of an abundant land. You think you can just take it? Not a chance. The figures behind Pure Virtue removed their hoods. Then there's nothing more to discuss. In the next moment, cold lights flashed on each person's body, followed by piercing screams. Peichi, who initially had the advantage in numbers, looked panicked, but his clansmen, seemingly fearless of death, charged forward. You dare attack us? Our king will devour you. Before they could finish, they were engulfed in a blaze of fire and turned to ash. Peichi thought to himself in shock, our clan, descendants of divine beasts, invincible in combat, yet unexpectedly defeated so easily by these youngsters. Are these the 9-star guardians nurtured by the ancient continent, each at the immortal revered realm? The rumors are true. For so many years, the ancient continent paid little attention to major matters, but they regarded this small 9-state as a treasure. Pure Virtue spoke coldly. I warned everyone not to covet the 9-state continent. Seeing himself surrounded, Peichi quickly conceded, we won't make the same mistake again. But inwardly, he thought, I'll bide my time now, plan for the 9-state later. Once we ascend to the status of an abundant land, I'll return today's humiliation 100-fold. Pure Virtue saw through his intentions, sighing softly, what are you trying to play at? Do you think you still have a chance? As Peichi was pierced through, he still muttered to himself, why? The 9th state has low martial standards, not even fit to be a servant star. Why have you protected them for years, antagonizing many clans at great cost? What's the reason? There's someone there important to us. For him, we wouldn't hesitate to battle celestial gods, let alone descendants of divine beasts. Not just me, my disciples, their descendants, and everyone from the ancient continent would fight to the last moment for him. Just as Pure Virtue was about to leave, she warned, my disciple will visit an important person in 9th state tomorrow. Keep all your partisan thoughts, both appropriate and inappropriate, to yourself. Any slightest unwarranted idea will have its consequences. With a fluctuation in space, they disappeared from the spot. At this moment, Peichi recalled the words of Pure Virtue. Isn't her disciple that woman, Jiang Xinu, who conquered countless small and large planets around Star Domain for millions of years? To be valued by her, who exactly is that person? Inside the Cloud Province of 9th State, I was somewhat surprised. The Lantern Festival, Lin Bao and the others pleaded, Master, please go. Tomorrow's Lantern Festival is a once-in-a-century event. You haven't spent time with us for so long. Please accompany us. Hearing this, I was also tempted. The system is still integrating rewards, and Jiang Xinu is now safe and sound. She should wake up in these 2 days. Before I could answer, Lin Bao threw herself at me. If you don't speak, I'll take it as your consent. You can't go back on your word to do something else. Then, without giving me a chance to resist, she dragged me to change into a handsome outfit. Feng Qian watched my departing figure with a helpless expression. Why does everything have to happen tomorrow? Looking at the bustling market downstairs, I couldn't help but feel extremely content. This laid-back feeling is just too perfect for me. I don't have to worry about the invasion of immortals and demons, nor about lacking a wife to warm my bed. But Lin Bao and the others are sneakily plotting something. But at that moment, moment, the people around recognized me, the Wildchen provincial governor. Everyone come and see. With his loud voice, countless fans surrounded me, wanting not only to be my warm bed maids, but even offering their wives to me. Just as I was unsure how to react, someone suddenly grabbed my arm. Baiyu, with a shy face, said, "Senior, I'm sorry for being late. Please punish Baiyu." At that moment, I also noticed the box in her hand and curiously asked what it was. Baiyu, with her face flushed, hurriedly explained, "These are magical artifacts for cultivation." Hearing this, I secretly activated my X-ray vision, but when I saw the set of wild beast items inside the box, my brain seemed to lose its ability to think for a moment. We agreed to just buy some clothes. Why do I feel like they are planning to do something unspeakable to me? 2 minutes later, Baiyu took me to the most luxurious cold wave pavilion, located at the boundary between the realms of humans and immortals. Looking at the bustling crowd around, I couldn't help but marvel at its prosperity. A little change in history doesn't seem to be a bad thing after all. At that time, Lin Bao urged me to hurry. "Master, I have already scoped out this pavilion in advance. Just leave everything to me today." Then, I was forcefully taken inside by Lin Bao. To my surprise, even the guards at the door were not inferior to those in the realm of immortals. Lin Bao then began to show me around. "Master, it's our first time coming out like this, and I'm so happy. You don't know how magical this place is. Moreover, this pavilion has been standing for millions of years. Whatever you want, you can find it here. Besides trading, it's divided into 5 cultivation areas: terrestrial realm, human immortal realm, earth immortal realm, heavenly immortal realm, and the 5th floor's immortal emperor realm. Though it's costly, the powerful woman behind this pavilion ensures anyone causing trouble here will have their graves grow into towering trees. Her legend is full of wonders. Lin Bao even thinks she must be a supreme emperor with a story. Not only that, cultivators from other planets often visit just to glimpse the pavilion master. Soon, I noticed the price tag on the model's clothing, a staggering 9,000 gold coins. I even thought I had entered a scam shop. How can such shabby clothes be so expensive? My comment was immediately met with ridicule from other customers. "Really, any riffraff can come in here?" Lin Bao immediately called over a floor manager and took out her supreme black card. "Kick those trash out. I'll buy everything they were looking at. I can't stand seeing good things defiled by riffraff." In an instant, the items in their hands disappeared. Then, Lin Bao made a face at them. Seeing this, those people's spiritual energy surged, charging at us. "Riffraff of the 9-state continent, watch us take you down." Lin Bao and the others were not to be outdone. The pressure of their immortal might erupted instantly, and those who had tried to show off were also immediately scared away, fleeing towards the exit in a panic. By this time, the administrator had already finished packing everything. Lin Bao quickly put on a gentle smile. "Master, let's go try on the clothes." Saying this, she pulled me towards the fitting room. The administrator sighed at me. This guy, lucky to be with a rich woman. However, she soon widened her eyes in shock. Recalling my appearance, he looks exactly like the person the pavilion master has been searching for millions of years. With this thought, she immediately took out a communication artifact and reported everything she had seen. Outside the cold wave pavilion, those who had lost face called their martial uncle, a man with a gloomy expression, just a mere demi-immortal realm. The moment they step out of the pavilion will be their end. Meanwhile, news of my appearance also reached the ears of the pavilion master. The woman in the mirror smiled faintly. "Judging by the days, it's about time. Listen carefully. No more customers from now on. Expand the immortal's eye mirror to its maximum. I want to see everything inside the pavilion." At the same time, artifacts hidden in the corners were activated, and every nook and cranny of the pavilion was under surveillance. Watching the figures appearing in the mirror, the woman hummed, "All these years I couldn't find him, and he appears just when that woman is about to look for him. It seems I also need to return. I wonder what our relationship will be like when we meet again." In the fitting room, Lin Bao skillfully grabbed the waistband of my trousers, then pressed her body against my chest. "Master, don't move. Lin Bao is taking your measurements." Feeling her familiar technique, I instantly realized that things were not so simple. I seemed to have fallen into a trap. The coordination between them was too perfect, one keeping watch, another assisting while also guarding against the approach of others. Such a seamlessly executed plan couldn't have been developed without countless days and nights of practice. Realizing this, I angrily pointed at their noses and scolded, taking advantage of my slumber to indulge in romance. "I haven't even settled the score with you for the previous incident." Baiyu pushed Lin Bao away and took all the blame. "If you must reprimand someone, reprimand Baiyu first. It has nothing to do with Lin Bao." She then took out a box she had prepared earlier. "Please punish me, master." Seeing her act like this, I felt incredibly disappointed. This is ridiculous. Yet, my body honestly took the whip. I had no intention of doing this, but since you show no respect for your elders, I have to sacrifice my principles to teach you a lesson. As I spoke, I whipped Bayu's bottom with the whip, shouting, "Do you realize your mistake now?" Red Clothing and the others, witnessing everything, trembled in fear. Finally, they couldn't hold back and shouted, "Master, it's not just Bayu's fault. We all bear responsibility. If that's the case, punish us all together." Hearing this, a fierce and ruthless light flashed in Bayu's eyes. "Don't worry about me. Let me take the punishment alone." After 2 minutes, minutes, I turned to search through the leather case. It seems you still haven't reflected on your mistakes. If you don't confess honestly, I will have to get rough. Unbeknownst to me, everything I was doing was being observed by Hanshi, who was hidden in the background. Her aura began to rise dramatically, even causing the space around to emit a pained wail. You seem to be having quite a bit of fun, Chinchanon. Despicable man. With that, she tore through the space and stepped in. Meanwhile, the highest leader of the Cold Wave Pavilion had gathered the administrators from all floors. I give you 3 minutes to clear out all the guests at any cost. We cannot afford to let our master down at this time. However, as soon as she turned around, the administrators from the first and second floors began whispering to each other. Could that man be the Pavilion Master's ex-boyfriend? Before they could continue, Indo sternly warned, if anyone dares to gossip about the Pavilion Master's private matters, they will be executed. The two shivered with fear and quickly assured that they wouldn't dare anymore. After they left, Indo called the administrators of the other floors. The Cold Wave Pavilion has always been neutral, never interfering in the affairs of the 9-state continent for a million years. That's why it has stood strong in the star domain for a century, receiving widespread acclaim. But this evacuation is all because of an unknown man. I hope you can handle your floors properly. After you've cleared your respective floors, come to me. I want to personally verify the identity of this individual. Outside the fitting room, Red Clothing, hearing the faint sounds of moaning from inside, couldn't help but let her imagination run wild. Are they secretly doing something unspeakable behind my back? Just then, the complaints of cultivators behind her caught her attention. It turned out that the sudden closure of Cold Wave Pavilion had interrupted many cultivators in critical moments of their cultivation, causing significant losses. Red Clothing became anxious. Master and the others are at a crucial moment. Is it really okay to interrupt them now? At this time, administrators from various floors had already approached Red Clothing. We have heard of Chinchanon's great name and wish to meet him in person today. Feeling the immortal Emperor realm aura emanating from them, Red Clothing broke into a cold sweat. Just as she was about to collapse, my voice came from inside. Red Clothing, step aside. A gentle energy then enveloped Red Clothing, shielding her from the oppressive aura of the immortal Emperor realm. Indo, however, did not seem impressed by my intervention, but became even more serious. I want to see for myself if this man is worth the trouble. She then pushed open the door and stepped inside. I apologize for this abrupt visit. Our Cold Wave Pavilion is currently closed, and other great immortal beings have also left. As she spoke, her gaze continuously scrutinized me, concluding that I was an ordinary person. Sensing the implication in her words, a hint of murderous intent quietly emerged from me. Are you trying to drive me away? I'm busy right now and don't wish to change locations. Feeling the tangible murderous intent, Indo quickly said, not at all. It's just that our master wishes to reminisce with you, so I came to inform you. Hearing this, I dispersed the killing intent around them. Fine, I'll wait for her here. Indo breathed a sigh of relief, quickly excused herself, and left. Red Clothing, who had witnessed everything outside, was utterly astonished. Even an immortal emperor had to bow before the master. After they left, a chill ran down my spine. I hope it's not Hanshi, that girl. She's the only one who's hard to deal with. Meanwhile, outside the Cold Wave Pavilion, chaos ensued as cultivators demanded an explanation and compensation for their losses, threatening to overturn the entire pavilion if not satisfied. Shuqing proposed, we can reimburse the travel expenses for this round trip to alleviate your losses. Hearing all this, the martial uncle appeared confused, still unclear about what exactly had happened. A young man beside him suddenly said, what should we do? Those guys haven't come out yet. Red Clothing, observing the noisy crowd outside, was also surprised, so they really did clear the place. However, her presence was noticed by the guests outside. One of them, dissatisfied, shouted, why hasn't that person been driven out? The trouble-seeking young man also noticed Red Clothing. Martial uncle, that's her. She's with that guy. Seizing the opportunity, the martial uncle declared, want us to leave? Then treat everyone the same. We from Daylight Continent have cooperated with your pavilion for hundreds of years. You wouldn't want to fall out with us over a few unknown persons. Those despicable people stole our treasures. If you're sensible, step aside. That way, we can still be friends in the future. Hearing this, Shuqing slapped the old man away. Who do you think you are? Get lost. Just an immortal king, and you dare to be so arrogant. Do you wish to die? A young man immediately stepped forward. We're not just any immortal kings. Is the immortal revered realm qualified enough? If your Cold Wave Pavilion wasn't here, we wouldn't even glance at such a godforsaken place. They then rushed towards the pavilion. Let's see today who dares to stop us. In the next moment, the overwhelming pressure from an immortal emperor realm powerhouse crushed them. Listen well. The gentleman inside is a distinguished guest whom our pavilion master has been searching for millions of years. Not just your Daylight Continent, but even if all the star domains combined, they wouldn't matter. Seeing the newcomer, those who were previously clamoring for revenge instantly gave up. So that gentleman is their distinguished guest. Did we provoke the wrong person? At that moment, Shuqing took out the contract with Daylight Continent and tore it up. From now on, we will not entertain anyone from Daylight Continent. If anyone dares to harbor ill intentions towards the gentleman, they will be killed without mercy. Upon hearing this, the people of the Daylight Continent continent immediately made it clear. They are not from Daylight Continent. Just as the few were about to protest, they were beaten up by the others from Daylight Continent. The enemy of the gentleman is my enemy. Die. They then threw the beaten men before Indo. We hope the lords will forgive our mistake. The rest is up to the 5 administrators to deal with. Red Clothing, excitedly watching everything unfolding outside, thought this thrilling drama must be watched together with the master. As this was happening, a sudden change occurred in the sky above. A rift was torn open out of nowhere. Meanwhile, a severe spatial fluctuation had appeared over the Jade Pond sacred land, causing Jiang Xinu to feel extremely uneasy. She asked loudly, "Is there any senior visiting today?" At that moment, her maid suddenly exclaimed, "Jiang Xinu, she's moving." Hearing this, Jiang Xinu ignored the spatial fluctuation overhead and focused on observing Jiang Xuanchu's body. Indeed, a strong vitality was emanating from her, indicating that she was about to awaken. Simultaneously, the sky above the cold wave pavilion also became tumultuous. I calmly threw away the whip, addressing Baiyu, "Today was just a minor reprimand. If you err again, I will punish you more severely." Baiyu, appearing overwhelmed, was secretly thrilled inside, even looking forward to the next punishment. Then, I pulled open the door of the fitting room, adjusting my outfit with some uncertainty, wondering if Jiang Xinu would like it. Seeing my transformed appearance, Lin Bao and the others blushed. "Master, you look like a different person after changing clothes." Even Indo and the others waiting outside were momentarily captivated, seemingly understanding why the pavilion master was so fond of me. Feeling their invasive gaze, Lin Bao responded with fierce protectiveness, then flung herself into my arms from both sides, declaring, "Master can only be ours." At that moment, I sensed a reaction from the taboo I had left with Jiang Xinu. In my perception, something powerful was approaching her. Indo, unaware of my preoccupation, excitedly said, "The pavilion master should be arriving soon. Senior Chen, please wait a moment longer." However, I didn't pay attention to her and stepped through the torn space. This left Indo and the others in a panic, wondering how to explain to the arriving pavilion master. The next moment, another spatial fluctuation occurred, and a pair of slender legs stepped through. Indo immediately knelt on one knee, saying solemnly, "Pavilion master." Han Shi, however, ignored Indo, quickly searching for that familiar figure. But looking around, she couldn't find him, and coldly said, "Where is he? Didn't you say he was waiting here for me?" Lin Bao boldly addressed Han Shi, "Pavilion master, are you looking for my master?" Hearing this, Han Shi murmured, "So, she's his disciple. I thought she was his beloved." Then, affectionately touching Lin Bao's forehead, she said, "You may call me master's wife. I am his yet-to-be married wife." This revelation left everyone present in shock, as they exclaimed in disbelief, "What?" Sensing something, Han Shi's thoughts raced. That woman has also arrived? Is she trying to compete with me for him? She swiftly reopened the teleportation portal. "If you don't believe me, then come with me. I'll prove it to you." Inside the Jade Pond sacred land, Jiang Xinu couldn't believe the person before her. "Why are you here?" The visitor spoke warmly. "I've missed my little junior sister, and I also came to find the one in my heart. I never dared to look for him all these years, because I always felt I wasn't good enough, unable to stand on my own and impress him. But when I saw that familiar figure, cold sweat instantly soaked my back. Why her? And at this time, I hope nothing goes wrong." Chang Shi smiled gracefully. "Now, I might have the right to actively pursue him." Jiang Xinu glanced worriedly at Jiang Xinu, sitting on a lotus flower, filled with concern. She hoped Chang Shi wouldn't find out about their relationship. Chang Shi noticed Jiang Xingu's gaze and followed it to Jiang Xinu. Jiang Xinu hurriedly explained, "She is the goddess of our clan, who has been in a coma due to certain events." Chang Shi commented directly, "A beauty unmatched, certainly the most beautiful I've seen. But there's an issue. Jiang Xinu, your technique for soul restoration is lacking. Even if she wakes up, she might lose some memories. Fortunately, I have traveled the star domain for millions of years and possess a secret technique that could awaken her. Remember, soul restoration must permeate deep into one's memories, even if it means uncovering secrets. Saving a person is key. For anyone, losing important memories is a painful ordeal." With Chang Shi's assistance, the technique was successfully completed. Jiang Xinu also breathed a sigh of relief. Thank goodness she was here to help, or Chinchanan would have been furious with me. Suddenly, Jiang Xinu in the lake softly moaned, and her vitality became more evident. The next moment, Jiang Xingu's eyes widened. "You're awake." Jiang Xinu, upon seeing Jiang Xinu, first asked, "Where's Chinchanan?" She then attempted to stand up, intending to join Chinchanan on the battlefield. Jiang Xinu quickly stopped her. "The battle is over. He's fine. You need to focus on yourself right now." She then awkwardly laughed. "Goddess, thank you for awakening Jiang Xinu. Not only do we owe you our gratitude, but Chinchanan does as well." However, she immediately realized her slip of the tongue. Jiang Yuchang added from behind her, "Jiang Xinu is Chinchanan's wife. You saved his wife, so of course he should thank you." Hearing this, Chang Shi's eyes lost their color as she murmured, "Wife." Jiang Xinu hurriedly covered Jiang Yuchang's mouth to prevent any more explosive revelations. Realizing the situation, I stepped forward, but when I met Jiang Xuanchu's bright eyes, I froze. Seeing this, purpose. Jiang Xinu pushed Jiang Ningran aside and rushed towards me, not caring about her unhealed body. I embraced her, whispering comfortingly, "It's okay, I'm here." Changshi's heart skipped a beat witnessing this scene. Meanwhile, a spatial fluctuation appeared behind me, and Hanshi confidently told everyone I was the first one to have a relationship with Chinchanan. Calling me master's wife in advance won't be wrong. However, before she could finish, she saw me affectionately holding a stunningly beautiful woman. The system, not missing a chance to escalate things, chimed in, "Random mission detected. Host is currently experiencing a complex romantic situation. Please watch the Lantern Festival with the 3 women and develop a deeper and harmonious relationship with each. Mission success reward, 1 minute of Invincible clone card." I mentally noted a grievance against the system. "System, you're doing this on purpose, aren't you?" In an attempt to defuse the awkward situation, I took them to the Lantern Festival. On this day, regardless of past grievances, people would set aside their hostilities and light their own lanterns, wishing for new blessings in the new year. As the storyteller began his tale with a dramatic slam of his desk, the story unfolded. A man, unsatisfied with just one girlfriend, didn't spare even his girlfriend's best friend. In the end, the other woman furiously killed the main wife and eloped with the man. The audience sighed, pondering, could the man have kept both if he was eloquent enough? A question arose from the crowd. What if a man encounters all his close female friends at once? If all the women gather together, no man can handle it well, not even a genius. The storyteller interrupted their discussion, imagining the scenario. If that really happens, I can only wish him good luck. Meanwhile, I was looking at the system's task in despair. Raising my teacup to the ladies, I suggested, "Let's have tea." As I spoke, 3 pairs of hands reached out to me simultaneously. Realizing they did the same action, they immediately started arguing, "This is for me," each with a strong sense of rivalry in their eyes. Seeing this, I didn't hesitate and took a sip myself. Reunion is a happy occasion. I'll finish this cup. 3 people peeking outside the door felt their scalps tingle at this intense situation, fearing their own private affairs with me might be discovered. Even Hanshi's chief general commented, "I've been indifferent to life and death for many years, but this scene reignites a tension I haven't felt in ages." Hanshi took the initiative. "You haven't introduced everyone to me yet. Why have you never mentioned other women?" The system's voice echoed in my mind, warning me to be careful with my answer. "This is a trap she's setting. If you respond, it confirms her status as the main wife." Changshi smiled slightly at me. "Why does Chinchana need to introduce us? I remember everything about you from when you were young." She leaned in closer. "I understand you were misled by others during my absence. Don't worry, I'm back now." Hanshi angrily retorted, calling Changshi shameless. "Cut the territorial claims. You're nothing." Jiang Xinu looked at me pitifully. "Husband, was everything between us a lie?" Their successive attacks left me feeling like my heart had stopped. "It's not what you think." All 3 of them then looked at me expectantly, demanding a clear answer about who was my true wife. Frustrated, I vented all my resentment on the system. "I need a solution from you right now," but he suggested that I try to conquer them through my own means. His words instantly sparked a new inspiration in me. It seemed that what they cared about was not each other's existence, but my attitude. At that moment, Hanshi secretly unleashed her ultimate seductive move under the table, but the system forcefully intervened on my behalf. Then I reached out for Hanshi and scolded them fiercely. "Look at you, a bunch of noisy fusspots. What a sight. Listen up. I'll only say this once about the woman I care about most." Hearing this, their gazes fixed tightly on me. Even those eavesdropping outside the door held their breath, waiting for the revelation. Then I put on a melancholic face. "I've done many adult things with her, tirelessly. We met in an extraordinary situation, a perfect match. Knowing she couldn't stand by my side, she strived in secret, hoping to someday traverse worlds with me." These words hit Changshi right in the heart. It must be me. I'd strived for 10 million years, and I've also done those adult things with him. I continued, "Because of the Great War, we had to part ways temporarily. I only regret my lack of strength." Hanshi's face flushed upon hearing this. Yes, that's the right feeling. I've been thinking of you constantly. To think you've waited for me so long, it's heart-wrenching. I almost gave up on you, and we've tumbled in the sheets so many times. I must be the one you care about most." I ignored them and went on. "If only I had been stronger back then, we would never have parted. I, Chinchanan, swear by the heavenly way, I will not be unfaithful. In this life, I will be true to you." Jiang Xuanchu's eyes lit up, tears swirling in them. "Chinchanan is so outstanding. It's inevitable he attracts women. I shouldn't be so insecure. I need to show them the dignity of the real deal." So, they unified their stance, saying in unison, "No need to say more. We all know who you are talking about." Even the system was impressed by my wit. "Everything you said corresponds with them." Hearing this, I just smiled slightly. But 3 women? Even if there were 300 more, it wouldn't matter. What I didn't know was that the people outside the door also thought they were the ones I was referring to. Meanwhile, in the temple of the 9-state continent, a golden light descended, and 2 figures emerged from it. I remember the 9-state continent was unclaimed. Why does it now have a master? And seemingly from a lower realm. They then shouted loudly, "Temple spirit of the 9-state continent, come forth at once." But the response they received was like a thunderbolt from the blue. "How dare you rascals make a racket in my temple? Seems someone is tired of living. Tuli easily dispersed his attack, which widened the eyes of Heavenly Wei in surprise. He blocked it so easily, then he unleashed an even more terrifying power. Tuli became extremely annoyed and suppressed this Heavenly Wei in retaliation. A mere 9-state Heavenly Wei dares to show off in front of us, the god's envoy. At these words, Heavenly Wei immediately softened, greeting them politely. As the 9-state Heavenly Wei and temple spirit, how dare you acknowledge a master without reporting? Heavenly Wei quickly protested his innocence. That person was too powerful. If I didn't obey, I would be beaten. Chai Chi spoke coldly. Just a person from a lower realm. What's there to fear? Break off your relationship immediately. Heavenly Wei immediately got agitated. Actively renouncing a master will deplete the continent's destiny. The 9-state continent is already a barbaric land. Losing more destiny will turn it into a land of poverty. Inwardly, he cursed. If that person finds out I dare to betray, he'll surely flay and Deb won me. Tuli scoffed. A temple spirit of such a barren land being beaten by someone from a lower realm, and you dare to admit it. He then threw a golden entry token. This is the Star Domain Tournament token. Keep it safe. This sent chills down Heavenly Wei's spine. Recalling the legends of the Star Domain Tournament, none of the participants ever end well. Even the victors become playthings coveted by the gods. After dropping the token, the god's envoy left without looking back. The token is given. You know the penalty for fleeing the tournament. Heavenly Wei nodded stiffly. Understood. If only I had known, I wouldn't have admitted having a master. After this ordeal, Tuli was quite disappointed with the Heavenly Wei of this planet. If the Heavenly Wei is like this, how strong can the master of the 9-state continent be? Chai Chi chuckled, as if this barbaric land should be so. How could it compare to those gods who own rich lands? On the other side, we kept wandering around until midnight. At that point, they all suddenly looked at me, seeming to suggest it was time to do something else. They walked into 3 different rooms, calling out, Chanan, it's time to go inside and rest. The system's teasing voice rang out behind me. Host, what will you do now? This was the real test of the day. If I chose only one of them, death would likely be my only outcome. Hanshi playfully threw a seductive glance at me. My shoulder feels a bit uncomfortable. It would be great if someone could give it a rub later. She became incredibly shy at this moment. Chanan, I have a lot to talk to you about. Jiang Xinu also looked at me with seductive eyes. Husband, I'm waiting for you. Faced with these hints, I smiled somewhat stiffly. Alright, I'll get ready and come in. Only after hearing the sound of 3 doors closing did I finally breathe a sigh of relief. The system, acting all-knowing, said to me, they didn't say it, but this is obviously a trap. I looked at it disdainfully. I figured as much, but I have my own plan. Then I instructed, create a clone for me. Turns out, ever since the incident in the ancient continent with the double clones, I had learned many tricks. Now, I even had the ability to control 2 clones simultaneously. Then the 3 of us opened different rooms. Tonight was my triple pleasure, because the senses of the clones were synchronized. I gently touched Hanshi's lips, then bent down to deeply kiss her. I hadn't fully experienced this last time in the ancient continent. It was surprisingly tender. Hanshi, blushing profusely, moved towards the bed. At her words, I picked her up. I never expected that the splendid Hanshi outside would have this side to her. Her peach-like appearance also unleashed my wild side, starting an autopilot operation. Meanwhile, I also embraced Changxi in my arms. The warm breath blew past Changxi's ears. Changxi, hesitating yet inviting, said to me, do you like it? I gently bit her earlobe. I didn't expect you to still wear the cloak I gave you. Changxi shyly replied to me, of course. After all, it's the only treasure you've ever given me. But I teased her, now that you're so prestigious, I bet men who admire you could line up from the 9-state continent to the ancient continent. Changxi knew that no explanation would suffice, and the only way to respond to me was through actions. Meanwhile, my real body went to Jiang Xuanchu's room, gently covering her with a quilt and tenderly stroking her forehead. You've just woken up. You need to rest well. I'll stay here with you. Hearing this, Jiang Xinu immediately reached out her small hand. In my bewildered state, she tightly grasped my hand, then placed it near her ear. Husband, I just want to quietly hold your hand. Will you stay by my side? At this moment, I also received a reward from the system, successfully completing the extreme challenge of a tricky situation. Simultaneously, a thunderbolt struck my residence. Heavenly Wei hurried to me. Chinchanan, Dad, we have a big problem. Your obedient son is being bullied outside. Those 2 guys not only hit me, but also took over my territory. They insist on seeing you to resolve this. I made a shushing gesture for him to be quiet. I'm not interested in your troubles. My wife has just fallen asleep. Don't wake her. Heavenly Wei, hearing my words, was also frustrated. Now's not the time for this. If we delay, we'll surely face retribution. I know you're strong, Dad, but the Star Domain Tournament isn't about individuals. It's more about team participation. And these gods' envoys are also one of the judges. Apart from the rich lands they can't judge, they control the other barbaric lands. The only one they are eagerly waiting for is you. Meanwhile, at the temple, 2 figures had been waiting all night, which made the noble Tuli extremely agitated. A mere lower realm riffraff dares to be so arrogant. Refusing to accept is defying the gods, a crime that must be punished. I will go to the 9-state continent to hold you accountable. Will you dare to confront me then? On the other side, Heavenly Wei was pacing back and forth in agitation. I looked at him somewhat helplessly and said, "You've been with me for a while now. How can you still be such a coward?" Heavenly Wei, crying, said to me, "Dad, they're different. They are God's envoys and even have the backing of Heavenly God. They're really powerful." I grabbed him and started walking out of the house. "Your voice is too loud. If you wake up Jiang Xinu, I'll grind you into mincemeat." Suddenly, the system alerted me that the law heart of Heavenly Wei in the 9th state was unstable. If this continued, it would affect the fate of the 9th state. As the fate diminished, chaos would ensue in the 9th state cycle of reincarnation, eventually engulfing the 9th state in chaos and death. The host is urged to quickly boost Heavenly Wei's morale. Reward: a clone with the skill Instant God Technique X1. His words took me by surprise. So, this guy is actually this important. He can directly influence the development of the continent. So, I looked down at him, nearly breaking down. Compared to when I first met him, he does look quite miserable now. Although I can't cultivate, I understand the importance of spirit to a cultivator. The same applies to Heavenly Wei. Then, I let go of his hand. "Let's go and confront those 2 bullies who've been tormenting you." Hearing this, Heavenly Wei was momentarily stunned. "Dad, I'll take you to meet God's envoy right now." I interrupted him and, with him in tow, broke through the spatial barrier. Even temples from outside the domain have spatial connections with their respective continents, and the 9th state is no exception. I reached out towards the space in front of me, and instantly, the space collapsed. At the same time, I extended the range of my invincible domain. On the other side, they were discussing where to start the destruction. Just as they were about to act, they were firmly grasped by a giant hand. At this moment, Tu Li, in terror, found that he couldn't break free from the grip of the giant hand. He was then directly pulled into the spatial turbulence. On the other side, Heavenly Wei, watching my display of divine power, was extremely impressed. "It seems I've underestimated Dad's strength." Meanwhile, Tu Li and his wife fell unconscious due to my overwhelming power. 2 minutes later, Tu Li struggled to sit up. "You damn sneaky attacker," he accused weakly. I ignored his feeble threats and turned to ask Heavenly Wei, "Are they the ones making you so restless?" Tu Li quickly realized what was happening. "So, you're the master of the 9th state continent that Heavenly Wei mentioned? You do seem to have some strength," he said. The next moment, he burned his life energy to peak his aura, threatening to grind me into mincemeat. However, before he could finish his sentence, his gathered strength vanished without a trace. Terrified, he looked at his hands. "Why can't I use my power?" I instantly appeared behind him and grabbed his head with one hand. "Do you know that the guy you've been bullying is my son? Apologize to him right now." Tu Li roared, "Shut up, you beast." "What the?" I slammed his head into the ground, picked him up again, and said, "Don't you understand what I'm saying?" Then, I pressed his head to the ground once more. This scene sent chills down Chai-Chi's spine. It was the first time he had seen his lord in such a sorry state. After I educated him several times, Tu Li finally apologized to Heavenly Wei in a trembling voice. "I'm sorry." Then, I asked Heavenly Wei, "Son, do you feel better now?" Heavenly Wei was in a state of immense fear, as in his understanding, even if I could defeat God's envoy, it shouldn't be this outrageous. The system then told me that Heavenly Wei's spirit had increased by 50%. It seemed he was quite satisfied, but soon, he started crying again. "You beat God's envoy. They will definitely complain to the Heavenly God." Hearing this, I grabbed Tu Li's head. "Are you going to report to the Heavenly God?" Tu Li frantically waved his hands. "I wouldn't dare. Please, spare me." His wife was so frightened that she was trembling and had even stopped breathing. But when I suddenly turned to look at her, she immediately swore, "I swear on the path of immortality, I will absolutely not complain." After dealing with the trouble, I threw the man into her arms. "If you don't want to die next time, cooperate earlier." Heavenly Wei then flattered me from start to finish. "Dad, you're so strong. You're my only myth." I told him to stop it. "This is just routine. Later, I'll catch a few heavenly gods for you to play with as sons." After the incident, he ran to the 2 and began to show off his power. Seeing this, I didn't interrupt him, thinking that he still needed more experience. Suddenly, he asked me, "How should I handle the entry card for the Star Realm tournament?" I was a bit annoyed. "Handle it yourself." This made him even more confident. He bit the entry card in his mouth and boasted, "Although the rewards for the top 3 in this competition are tempting, my Dadshin doesn't need them at all." Hearing about the rewards, I instantly appeared behind him. "How tempting can they be?" He explained. "The competition has 3 major rewards. The first prize is unknown, but the second prize is an upgrade to Divine Essence. The third prize is an upgrade of the contestant's continent by 1 level. Speaking of which, there are clear distinctions between continent levels. People from a barbarian land can reach the Immortal Emperor level, while those from a fertile land can reach the Domain God realm, and so forth. Moreover, as the continent's level rises, I will become stronger, and as I become stronger, the law of this continent will become more stable." His words enlightened me. So, the higher the level of the continent, the stronger the Heavenly Wei, and the stronger the Heavenly Wei, the more prosperous the continent will be. He explained, "Everything in this world has its own law. After 10,000 years of baptism and immersion in the Tao, rules become law, and among these, 1 or 2 laws can, under the right circumstances, awaken intelligence and become Heavenly Wei. There is nothing in heaven and earth that can bind Heavenly Wei. Heavenly Wei has absolute power. So, despite how I appear, I've actually lived for billions of years." I looked at him doubtfully. "So, you were fooled by a mere word from those those two losers? He told me, it's because my law heart is not strong enough. Heavenly Way is divided into the path of wisdom, path of spirit, path of law, and command path, each corresponding to different powers, and I am still relatively young. I casually exposed his claim. So, you're only at the lowest level, right? Then I stopped talking to him, thinking of other plans. In that case, let's participate. My clone hasn't been promoted in a long time, and it would be a good opportunity to properly train this guy. Led by Tu Li, I smoothly arrived at the external gate. He told me, this is the space-time gate established by Heavenly God. Entering here will take you to the antechamber of the competition. The official contest starts in 2 hours. I laughed. Quite a grand gesture, being escorted by the Heavenly God. But he informed me, this is actually the first time something like this has happened. Due to an event 10 million years ago, the gods are very much looking forward to this competition. However, it also means there's a higher risk of casualties. Please be careful. I scoffed at his words. It seems I made the right choice by sending the most pure copy of my original self here. As I stepped into the space-time gate, I felt a familiar aura. Could it be something that Qian Wangchen girl did? Tu Li interrupted my thoughts. If there's nothing else, my wife and I will take our leave. I gave them a wicked smile. Don't forget the promise you made in the 9-state continent. The couple agreed fearfully. No problem. We'll do everything as you instructed. Just half an hour earlier, I had confirmed their roles as judges. Then I whispered my plan to Chai Chi. She exclaimed in fear. No, I can't do that. What would my husband think of me? I grabbed Tu Li's head. Say that again? If you answer wrong, you might lose a husband. So, what's your choice? Live and continue your nights of passion with your husband, or die right now, together. She was so frightened by my words that she lost control of her bodily functions. Biting her lip, she agreed to my demands. In the future, Chai Chi would realize that her decision that day brought a true demon into the peaceful divine realm, until I disappeared into the vortex. And when I reappeared, the scene before me was shockingly different. But soon, I was met with hostile gazes, all because my lateness had made them wait so long. I paid no mind to their stares and insults, and walked forward on my own. All the candidates eligible for this grand competition were powerful figures, each dominating in their own right. Among them were a few who had long been renowned. Lin 7, the 10,000 Paths holy body, who had fought against ancient beasts for 10,000 years and ultimately attained the status of an emperor. Manhwa, the ruler of Luotian continent, who rose to power with overwhelming force, following a classic hero's journey. The last notable figure was a woman named Yulan, who swept across the lands as a female warrior, annihilating all men on her continent and renaming it the matriarchal continent. Yulan's fierce gaze swept over every man present, eventually fixing on a stone stele that suddenly appeared in the center of the square. The sudden sound drew everyone's attention to the stele. A comical figure appeared atop it, thanking everyone for participating in the competition and introducing himself as Mirror Heart, the Order Keeper of the Eastern District. He said, "You may be here to break through your limits or for the rich rewards of the competition, but none of that matters. Whatever you desire, money, honor, wealth, you can obtain it here. Now, I will conduct a pre-competition assessment. Anyone who strikes the spirit testing stele with all their might will have their potential and talent converted into numerical values. A score of 50 to 70 signifies a formidable warrior, 70 to 80 a peerless one, 80 to 90 a genius seen once in a millennium, and 90 to 100 an eternal powerhouse. Those who perform exceptionally may catch the eye of the Heavenly God and receive some assistance in the upcoming competition." This announcement caused a stir among the attendees. It was the first time the Heavenly God had intervened in the competition, which could disrupt the balance of the event. The significance of their involvement remained unclear. Lin 7 immediately stepped forward, eager to seize the opportunity to be chosen by the Heavenly God. Confidently walking towards the stele, he declared, "Let's see who is the true peerless genius." With a thunderous roar that shook the heavens, everyone tensed up, sensing a world-ending power. This person must score no less than 95 points. At that moment, all the spiritual energy was absorbed by the stele. Mirror Heart, looking at the displayed number, was full of surprise. 84 points. A rare and formidable talent has emerged. The crowd was somewhat surprised by the number, as most of them believed Lin 7's power could have easily scored at least 90. Lin 7's expression turned gloomy. "I gave it my strongest hit with the intent to shatter the stele," he lamented. He then said to Mirror Heart, "I want to try again." Mirror Heart promptly denied his request. If everyone were like you, there would be no order to this competition. This spurred others to try their luck, eager to see how strong they could be. As successive roars echoed, none surpassed Lin 7's score, who remained in the lead. After the initial excitement faded, the crowd lost their enthusiasm. The stele seemed not as straightforward as they had thought. At this moment, a man with green hair approached me and asked, "Brother, aren't you going to give it a try?" I replied, "I'm afraid I might break the stele, so it's better if you go first." The green-haired man took my words as bravado, thinking I was too intimidated by the powerful participants to step up. Dismissing my comment, he flew towards the area where the prodigies were gathered.